Hello. Oh wait, I forgot to activate streamer bot. Nobody redeem bits yet. Please. Nobody redeem a channel point just yet. Give me 2 minutes because I forgot to do stuff. Unfortunately, no tackle. Yeah, I'm not expecting anyone uh on this co-host voice chat unless their name is like Gabe, who doesn't really care about the game that is out today. Oh boy, that ain't working. Oh, that's why. Hey there, chat. How's everybody doing? I am just gonna be doing a little bit of my 14 daily grind. But I'm chill with swapping to any other game, so like we can go back to Metroid X Fusion or Pokemon Infinite Fusion or some other stuff. I would stream like Silksong myself, but I don't have the game. So. But like I just kind of wanted to have a little bit of a chiller stream or at least chat with you guys. This ain't 16. Yeah, I know. I said 14. 14 is better. It's got Lizard. Who cares about some Clyde Rustfield that can hold up all these icons in it when I'm already that with Lizard. Hey there, chat. I hope everybody's doing good. I'm assuming a lot of you are excited about Silksong. It's as you should be. Maybe the fact that like the game is out and all this other stuff will convince me to maybe try Hollow Knight again and see if it finally clicks with me. Especially now that I've been playing like a harder, more punishing Metroidvanias. Or it be it ROMs or official games. Like maybe I'm like in a different mindset nowadays than I was those years before. But I'm halfway through Metroid Prime Hunter. It's been fun. Ah, gosh, I don't envy anybody. Like, I streamed Hunters last year, to get the footage for that video of me japping about the fact that that game deserves like the remake treatment the most. You know, whenever I hear somebody say that like, oh, they should probably remake Metroid Fusion or Metroid Super Metroid and stuff like that, I always bring up Hunters because like you know, fantastic game that just was a little bit too ambitious for its time and for the system it was, you know, being made for and stuff like that. So I really think that that game would benefit the most from that remaster treatment, you know. I'm trying to move the little chibi. There we are. Move over there, Lizard. Shush, I'm manifesting Prime Hunters remaster. That I think for Hunters, a remake is definitely what's in, or like what would be more like I'd be asking for. For Super and Fusion, I probably would just be okay with a remaster treatment because I think those games are already kind of perfect as they are. Yeah, that's a Lizard on Omega. Wait, hold on. I can make it funnier. Oh, whoops. Clank, 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 clank. My Metroid friend also wants a remake for Hunters. Yeah, I mean, it's got so many cool ideas. I think that I like Hunters in paper and as a concept so much. I love the new Hunters. It's taking place. It's got all the things that I've been, you know, asking for Metroid. New universe, new villains, new species, no Ridley, no Federation, no Space Pirates, no X, no Metroids, no Chozos. Just Samus off in a new adventure with some new cosmic horror threats and stuff like that. But, you know, the Nintendo DS could only do so much, especially, like, it being close to a DS launch title development period, at least. Like, when it was coming out, I remember just being so entranced by this game. Like, I remember going into the Metroid website and it being different to T's Hunters, where it was just a picture of Samus with Spire, Candon, and Noxus, and like the other three were still like in silhouette form. So we didn't even know about Silex or Weevil or Trace yet, just aside from their shadows and stuff. So. A mating in black dress coat with yellow citrus umbrella. Reminding me of someone, but can't put my finger on it. I wouldn't be able to tell you with that one, Brian. I don't really know what character you're talking about. Do you think Metroid Prime 4 will have an online feature like Prime 2 or Hunters? I think so. The reason or at least I would want it there to be, as long as it does not come at the compromise of the single player adventure. Like, my number one sort of priority, I guess, is that the game lives up to the standards that the rest of the Prime trilogy has in terms of like a campaign experience. As long as that is as like, you know, good, then the multiplayer is a bonus. I don't want them to spend time trying to make like the online multiplayer and all that stuff at the detriment of the single player experience, because let's be fair, we all buy Metroid games for that, you know, sense of isolation and exploration and stuff that we like from the series. But assuming that like it's all this, you know, that part is taken care of and it's perfect and whatever, I would really think that it'd be kind of silly for them not to add multiplayer to Metroid Prime. If they did, I would want it to be more like Hunters, because Hunters is like this hero shooter, Quake arena shooter, more than like a team-based coordinated attack like you see in Overwatch or Marvel Rivals. I don't really know much about Apex to be able to use that as a comparison, but you know, it's an arena shooter more akin to the shooters of old. And I think that it allows for a lot more fun and creativity. It's a unique... it wouldn't really compete with much that is out there, so it would put Nintendo and the game in this sort of area where Prime 4 can shine in its multiplayer, and in a first-person shooter sort of oversaturated market, by having that unique angle of you play as different hunters with different abilities, in different gameplay modes, in a variety of maps that you can just try and get weapons from and stuff like that to fight against other players. That sort of format wouldn't also compete with like Splatoon, because I don't think that there's a way or a world in which the Metroid multiplayer outperforms the Splatoon multiplayer, because like it's freaking Splatoon. But I think that it'd be rather smart to add something like that. But given what we know about the Metroid Prime 4 development team, a lot of the staff behind it have experience working on online shooters. There's people from 343, there's people from Blizzard, there's people from Bungie and stuff like that. Oh, there's a hunt mark over there. So like, I am pretty... My main thing is that I kind of hope that Nintendo has allowed these developers to just shape the game they want to make and sort of come up with a multiplayer shooter, because like the best example I can give is Marvel Rivals, where a lot of the Blizzard staff, which is went to Marvel because they, you know, developers want to make quality products first and things that they're passionate about and that they want to play themselves. So I really hope that there wasn't as much corporate meddling with Metroid Prime 4. as it was with like Star Fox Zero and stuff like that. But like, I really think that it would be kind of unwise for Nintendo to release this, having Silex as sort of the poster boy villain when he's from like Hunters, and not at least try and create a different shooter multiplayer experience that caters to a more adult crowd, so that way they can target that audience as well into maybe buying a Switch 2 or whatever. I wish Metroid Prime had a first-person mode as well, similar to Other M, because they just sat there and modeled a whole new suit for what? Seeing it in cutscenes? Well, you also see it a lot because like in Metroid Prime, I see what you mean, Ergo. What I'm trying to say is that like, yeah, they model it, but it's the same logic as like any other first-person shooter where they go through the trouble of modeling this protagonist, you know, Doom, Halo, whatever other game you want to put. But in the defense of the Metroid Prime games, at least, you know, 1 through 3 and even Hunters, the game asks you a lot to morph and unmorph to like access different sections or do different puzzles and stuff like that, that you constantly are seeing the suit. Compared to other first-person games where there's no moment that swaps to third-person mode. I don't think there'd be much of an issue with adding a third-person mode, but I think the reason, at least I personally like the first-person, is because it allows me more that I'm Samus, you know, I am the Samus, I am the threat, I am the bounty hunter immersion type of thing, that when I play in a third-person game, it kind of detracts me a little bit because I'm seeing now like a character. So like, to use Dead Space as an example, which is another game that I'm a huge fan of, or even Resi 4. In those games, like my mind is more like I am playing as Leon Kennedy, I am playing as Isaac Clarke. While in Metroid Prime, I get more of that like Halo experience where I'm like, I am the Master Chief, I am the Doom guy, I am the Samoza, because like I'm seeing the world through their eyes, and I try and sort of picture more what they're thinking and stuff like that, because by not being able to see them, I just have to use my imagination. But I think I'd be happy if like, I mean, you see the full suit for 1 second before you transform and just see the ball. Yeah, I know what you mean, but like, you do that so often in Metroid Prime that like you might as well be looking at the suit. Like, I say this from like the like when I edit these videos for like the channel and stuff like that, and I go back and I'm just looking at my backlog of the amount of times I'm just morphing and unmorphing, morphing and unmorphing, morphing and unmorphing, that I do, and the variety of cutscenes that there are, that I do feel like I get the suit's worth. But I think that that's also a simple issue with like what they did in Metroid Prime Remaster and Metroid Prime 3, where they offer you like the diorama mode so you can appreciate the models and stuff like that. But I get what you mean. I don't think it would really like affect the game that much. I'm just, I guess, trying to play devil's advocate as always. I'm trying to see what would be lost and stuff if we went with that perspective, or maybe why they choose not to. Because with like Other M, it was, aside from like the controller limitation, I think part of the reason it was easier to implement that whole thing in the first place was just that, like, you know, first person mode, you're just like standing there, and then third person mode, the camera is like in a bird's eye view rather than like over the shoulder. It's making me think of a character, but I can't remember who I'm thinking of, but the color is interesting to me for some reason. So note it down. I am the recollection man. Well, joke's on you, Brian, because the glamour I have is kind of inspired on the... I was trying to copy Novak from Recollection, of sorts. I found another jacket that I'm going to try and use that, so... I think that if, going back to the third-person Metroid game thing, I would kind of like if they made like a whole new spin-off that's third-person mode, and you play as some other character. Even if it's like in the other end, but you're playing as some Federation trooper or some other bounty hunter or whatever. Omega Emmy. I mean, there is a lot of similarities between Omega and the Emmys. I've mentioned that during the Dread stream, but like, oh no, a quadruped robot that can turn bipedal, and its main goal is to destroy these cosmic beings from another world that are trying to threaten things, and they go out of control, and now the one and only Warrior of Light can defeat it, type of shit, you know? What do you think will be the drop the mic moment in Metroid Prime 4? Like Sanctuary Fortress or Light Suit in Metroid Prime 2? I think it's going to be the fact that Silex is going to take off his helmet, or her helmet, or their helmet, and they're going to go, it's Metroiding time. Silex is, they're going to do some shit where Silex is Samus from the past or the future, sort of trying to stop whatever events that are happening and creating this bad timeline or whatever. My reason for this, I'm joking. I really hope this isn't the case. Please nobody take it seriously as like, this is what the Orpheon wants. But with Tanabe saying like the game is going to be very much kind of like Echoes, but you, instead of going between two worlds, you go through different timelines or periods in time, and Silex is trying to get the MacGuffin item artifact that allows Samus to have these psychic abilities. I would like the main reason that I don't see that happening, of course, is because like Silex is definitely like siding with the space pirates and using Metroids and all this other stuff that I don't think Samus would be using, you know. But like, I'm just trying. I was just asked on the spot, so I'm trying to think. What if Silex is a clone of Samus? I would like more if it's like an alternate timeline, if we're gonna go with it's another Samus, given that the game is supposedly trying to do different timelines and stuff like that. Hey there, Amaric. Featured Metroid Other M2, featuring Samus from the Metroid series. Samus seeing Ridley annihilate her parents for a second time, or what if instead of annihilating her parents, it's like, you know, the Samus we know is the Samus that got rescued by the Chozos. So in this crack theory of mine, where Silex is just an alternate timeline Samus, and she's like with the space pirates, then it's like Ridley was the foster parent for Samus instead of the Chozos and stuff like that, you know? Or some other stuff like that. I don't know. You make me want to resub now? I don't have that many days left, Amaric, so, like, if you're willing to wait, I'm trying to do the thing that, the move later this month, and after that I was gonna resub, so, like, that way I can play with you, because I think I literally only have, like, a week left. There's also some moon exploration on top? Yeah, there is. Well, I'm done with the sort of easy daily things that I was gonna do, chat. So if there's like a game, I could probably load up that I can load up easily. I can offer either a continuation of Metroid X Fusion or Pokemon Infinite Fusion. If not, I could probably just take 5 minutes and like plug in my capture card and we can play some Metroid Prime or something like that. I have a little bit of like a tension headache. It's been a very stressful couple of months, so I didn't really get much sleep. Silex, I'm you, but better and cool looking. I mean, at this point, I'm really interested in finishing X Fusion. I know that somebody, I think it was Akiwar last time on the stream, warned me about it getting worse, but like I feel like I'm already committed into seeing it, how this whole thing unfolds. If that's the case, you remember that time travel thing you were talking about last stream? Yeah, I was talking about it just 2 minutes ago. What about the time travel? What would you prefer, Metroid 6, Prime 4, remaster Prime 2 and 3, or a remake of a classic game? Either Metroid 6 or Metroid Prime 4. I feel like, as much as I love Echoes and I would die of seeing it remastered because it's my favorite game and stuff like that, like, you know, give me new games. Give me new games. Is all I'm asking. Oh, I gotta fix something with my chat. And I don't wanna I don't want suddenly the game chat to be on stream. Or play the Spoopy Demon's Crest on SNES? Maybe. Okay, there, it's fixed. Now I can just put back the lizard on screen. There we go. Like, to just say that, like, I feel like, sure, remaking an older game would kind of constitute as a new game in itself. I don't count, like, Zero Mission as the same as the NES because they're so drastically different games. But in terms of, like, story and stuff like that and timeline placements, I would rather see what new type of threats and dangers can affect Samus. That if you're gonna go through the trouble and adding all of that stuff in the remake, why not just shift it into making a new game and allow those like new developers to have the opportunity to do the stuff that they want. Oh, this is several cutscenes. Is it? Isn't it? The following event cannot be skipped. You may wish to cancel any pending duty finder registrations. Oh, okay. I think I like the idea of using remasters and remaking older games for onboarding a new team onto like a big franchise like Metroid. Just what they did, the things they did with Mercury Steam were, all right, you first do the I gotta do the bidding, but cool, Jaja. You got 2 heads. Can you think better than my lizard? Oh wait, I forgot it's Bakul Jaja. Like, say if suddenly there's a new, like, you're trying to make a new, Mercury Steam is making their own games, Retro Studios is making their own games, and whatever, but you, like, make a third branch for Metroid or whatever, and you're bringing a new team, and you're not sure what's the easiest way to ease them into the whole thought process or to test them out, then yeah, make, like, a remake or a remaster and stuff like that, so that way they can learn the ropes and establish some sort of communication before they go on and do the next big game and stuff like that. So Silex was clearly looking for the thing that sends Samus into another world, or maybe another time period, when he was invading the Federation base, right? And if it is time travel, then what if Silex is wanting to change something in the past? Well, that's what I mentioned in my video. Tanabe did mention, and the new trailers sort of resubbed. Hooray! Time to download the patch. Well, you might have to download one later tomorrow because there's maintenance later today. Hot fix. Going back to the Metroid Prime 4, Tanabe did mention that he would like to do something like Echoes. Just that instead of it being 2 separate worlds, it'd be more about 1,500,000. And all that other stuff that, like, maybe, yeah, they're doing there. Emmerich, don't you read the patch notes? Reading the patch notes explains the patch notes. So yeah, like the artifact gives Samus the new psychic time warping abilities, but if you see in the demo, it sort of causes a reaction, it explodes. And then if you look at the trailer at the end, there's like a past sort of aspect about the planet or future. And you see like the Federation Force mechs and stuff like that um, in the in the environments and whatever. So like my rule of thought was more like, all right, whatever that does causes the time warping things to activate, and that allows Samus to meet with the new aliens and sort of like gain their powers or whatever. How would Silex want to change this? It's like with changing something in the past, we don't know much about Silex, so it can kind of go anywhere. I was joking with the fact that Silex is just an alternate timeline Samus, where instead of the Chozos rescuing her from K2L, it was like the Ridley and the Space Pirates who took her in, and sort of like might have made her into like some sort of evil soldier, and that's why they're in line in like Metroid Prime 4 or whatever. I'm just saying that as a joke. I don't really think and stuff like that, but it's tomorrow, not today. It's today for me, tomorrow for you, my guy. Looking at the time zone explains the time zones. I do think they go to the future because all the golems and technology are absorbed by nature. Yeah, I mean they are absorbed by nature. I do agree that might have been also in the future. I don't think that the point in time matters too much, because I could also see it like by you reversing time, the nature that once died is sort of like regrowing. It's sort of like a reverse effect, and that also takes over the facilities and stuff like that. The future, I guess, just makes more sense because of the way that the aliens are sort of had a prophecy or whatever with Samus and stuff like that, you know? Wasn't there something said that Silex has a grudge against the Federation? Yes, in Metroid Prime Hunters, the manual and the website mentioned that Silex just has a vendetta against the Federations, and that his armor and his gunship, which is called Delano 7, Delano 7, as in the number 7, were prototype Federation tech that was stolen. That's the only thing that we know. So with my silly in the spot idea, it kind of still fits if Silex is an evil Samus all along, or alternate timeline Samus all along type of shit. Again, I'm not saying that that's what I want. I'm just, somebody earlier in chat asked me for like my idea of what they could do, and I just offered like a silly joke. Now, thanks for typing it out in chat, Brian and Ivan. I really appreciate it. That might make it easier for other people to see. Because like when I voice it in the script, I usually think that people are people might understand me saying like this: the Lano 7. This is what I think people might understand what it is that I'm saying when I'm doing it in the videos. When in reality is you know, like what Brian posted recently, which I'm gonna type out myself. So, you know, yes, I will place my bid. So I feel like the moment in time matters, yes, depending on Silex's plan. And given the gravity of the situation and all this other stuff, it kind of makes me wonder, you know? If it does happen that Silex takes off the helmet, it's another Samus, I will, like, take a shot on stream. Do you think there'll be Amiibos or Collector's Edition of Prime Form? Some skins with past Metroid Amiibos? You know, that's a tricky one. I can definitely see Amiibos, because, like, they did well when it came to... Wait, hold on, this is funny. What is this giant creature? He's Bakul Jaja. Bakul Jaja is a two-headed Mamook, which are very, very... They normally don't have two heads, but you know how in Chozo you have Thoha and Makin? This is what would happen if you fused them together, instead of like a Samus type of situation. So like going back, I'm sorry I'm getting sidetracked, but I think, like, they could definitely, probably might do Amiibos. Or Collector's Edition, because they did it for Dread. And I am willing to say that those sold really well. And what have you. That they might do a console, I doubt it. That they will add skins with the past Metroid Amiibos, I doubt it even more, given the backlash they received by, you know, locking the fusion suit and fusion mode behind the Metroid Amiibo with Samus Returns, with no other in-game way of unlocking it without paying the extra money, and then, like, you know, Amiibos go off shelves, scalpers show up, and then people just perpetuate the cycle and all this other stuff where nobody can play the new mode because you know, they're all in the Amiibos and stuff like that. So if they add a way that you can unlock those skins, like by finishing the game or collecting 100% or something like that, then yeah, maybe I can see them adding the skins. But locking it behind Amiibos again, I doubt it, given the backlash they received with Federation Force and Samus Returns. Wait a minute, the possibility of time travel in Prime 4 could imply that the Federation base and that Lush area are actually still on the same planet, just in different time periods. That's just what I said. That's what I said, chat. That's what I was trying to say. It's all on the same planet. We don't go on planet A and then planet B. No, the intro segment is sort of like in the present, and then the moment Silex and Samus meet and the artifact sort of creates that big explosion is what creates the time warp that allows the rest of the game to happen. I like how they only showcase the prologue and left the rest of the game in anticipation. I agree. I don't like it. Like, there's a point where I might not even watch anything else, any other trailers or stuff that comes out for the game until the game comes out, because I feel like sometimes I don't have that blind experience anymore. Like, oh, I already seen this tech demo, I know what to expect. Oh, I saw this in the trailer, I know what to expect. So it kind of, like, ruins a little bit of that magic to me. So, like, that's why when there's usually a game that I'm already like, alright, I saw a trailer, I'm sold, I don't need to see anything else, then I just don't. Until the game comes out, and then I just try and look for what other people might be saying about it before I commit to buying the game, given that we live in an age where games come unfinished. What if Silex makes his plan in the past, and you see the consequences of Silex winning? And, like, back in the future, you have to overdone the past. That actually might be fun. I'm not gonna lie. That could also work. Like, the fact that it's, like, time travel and we know so little just allows so many... And psychic abilities, like, just allows so much stuff to happen. Alright, first I'm checking on subs and stuff, then I'll be there. Beware, Emmerich. Oh, you already said that? Oops. No, no worries, Chad. I'm doing a bit. Like, I did say that, all those stuff... I'm also assuming, you know, there's people who show up late on stream. I feel like being extra sassy today because I have a headache. Metroid Prime 4 CD will have different music tracks depending on which timeline you're on. Yeah, I mean, they kind of did that for Dark Echoes and stuff. Me too. I only see the first trailer, then I want to go into the game blind. Yeah. Unless there's something still in the game that, like, I'm still not fully convinced, then I look at a different trailer. Because, like, I feel like with Metroid Dread, I wouldn't have shown Ravenbeak. I feel like the game already had enough hype going around it with the mystery behind the enemies and stuff like that, that when they introduced the Ravenbeak cutscene, like, the entire attention shifted. And so did the expectations and stuff like that. So, like, when... I feel like what Mercury's team might have wanted to do is like, alright, you start the game and all of a sudden there's a Chozo. I think I would have just imploded. But because I knew there were, at least Ravenbeak was before the game, you know? Because when they teased the game, you barely saw Quiet Robe in it. So, like, it was still like a room of speculation and stuff like that. Or Kraid, yeah, or Kraid. I would have been more okay if they showed Kraid, because he doesn't really play much of a point in the story, and you can use that to generate hype and whatever. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing a legacy character advertised, if it's like, introducing Kraid's return, hooray, whatever, you know? Versus Ravenbeak, who's like the main nemesis of the game. Like Sonic CD will have US, PAL, and Japanese versions. Is Sonic CD like the only game that has that, where it's like a different soundtrack depending on region? It's gonna have moments in the past, so Crocomire could return. Or you can just make it a Crocomire. The same way that, in my theory, it's not the same crate from Sevis. It's just some other crate species type of guy, you know? I like to imagine that Ridley is not the only one of his species. So, like, you could bring him back under the moniker of it being a different being and not the same Ridley that we know. With that said, he's gonna come back. Ridley is definitely gonna be in Metroid Prime 4, and I'm not gonna like it. Oh my goodness, Crocomire scared me. Got a good jump scare out of me, chat. Croco mention summoned, yay. I miss you, Bakul Jaja, you big bully. Like, if they're doing the time travel thing, they're definitely bringing Ridley back. Like, I don't see it in a world where they resist the urge to just add more to the soy boy fires and have people scream at Ridley and whatever. But I personally am like, I feel like Ridley's story, you kind of already done. You already kind of told it with like the original games in the Prime series without going into like the serious like he's an evil villain, rated M for mature, slaughter everybody. Also, 14 question. There's no Lupin Wolf Race class in 14, right? There is a Lupin like Wolf Race. You cannot play as it though. I can show you how they look. They do exist in the story and whatever, but you cannot play as them. No. I don't really know why you couldn't play as them, given that they look very similar in the skeleton too. Gosh, I really like the cinematography in 14. I really like what they do with the cinematography in this game. The angles, the cameras, the cuts. It's part of the reason I keep playing it, I'm not gonna lie. You can't play as a wolf, you can play as a cat, bunny, lizard, lizard, and tiger. Wait, so Metroid Prime 4 still before Samus Returns like the other Prime games? Or is it somewhere else? In my video, like, again, I keep mentioning it because I feel like a lot of these questions have already addressed it, but I don't mind. It's just like if you want the full information, you can also go and watch the last video I made of Prime 4. But losing train of thought because of Blizzard. But in Prime 4, the opening trailer we got says 2000X7 as the cosmic year. The manual for Super Metroid in Japan says that the events of that game take place in the cosmic year 2000X5. My friend Deadweight from Shine Sparkers also confirms that Samus Returns in the Japanese game also confirms that it's like 2000X5. So Prime 4 so far takes place. We know that it at least take place in what you call it, after Super Metroid, we don't know if it's before Fusion or after Fusion, you know? Oh shit, I can teleport here without having to fly? Sweet. I wonder if we'll fight a time god in Prime 4. You mean a Time Lord? Watch out, he might be armed with a screwdriver. Search for Bakul Jaja. Will be fun to play a section of past of the other Metroid Primes, like fighting Dark Samus or see a portion of Talon 4 in some time tears. I think I like more the idea of like, you know how with a time tears and you just can see a glimpse but not interact with it or whatever? Kind of like how in Metroid Prime 3 you could send those probes to give you more information about the planets that you visited in the past and stuff like that. But given that it's such a different time period and whatever, because we also don't know if like the time warp effects only affect that planets, and if that's the case, then like there would be no way of seeing Dark Samus or all those other characters. At the same time, I would like them for not to show Dark Samus, maybe mention it in passing or something like that, to just acknowledge that the effects happen, that the events happen. But like I feel like I would rather them just forge a new storyline and new stuff. You see that Blizzard employee video meme? There should be a leisure version of it. I don't think... No, I don't think I'm familiar with it. Imre, can you send it to me on DM? Maybe I could do it. I have the leisure. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, Electro. Right. Okay, what question could I ask that you haven't answered in that Metroid Prime 4 video? Chat member, I think the only way I can answer that question is go watch the video and that will be your answer. I mean, I don't know. You could like, I don't mind answering again. I'll just keep, if I already answer in the video, I'll mention it and then I'll give the answer anyways. Wait, Doctor Who beat Samus Aran in, wait, could Doctor Who beat Samus in a fight? I guess it depends on the wibbly wobbly timey wimey and how the screwdriver would affect like the Varia suit and stuff. Samus encounters some weird science guy with an unknown tool of his hands. His name should be Professor Wen. When keeping that name copyright by me. When kind of works because of like when does this take place? I hope I didn't sound like a jerk, but like with the whole video thing. It's just saying that like I think that I can't, if I knew about a question, I probably would have brought it up, but I can't think of something else that like the fact that there hasn't been much of information that I would say like, okay, I have enough to make another video, should be more of like a reason to show and say that like, yeah, it's this, because they've only showed the same thing over and over and over and over. I'm waiting a few minutes to earn dark matter clusters. Sweet. I'm just trying to unlock the Alliance raid. Chad, would you prefer if we played like Pokemon X Fusion or Metroid X Fusion? Samus encounters an entity outside of space-time or an elder entity similar to the beings from Metroid Prime Hunters. I mean, Dark Samus and Phazon. That's a dark eldritch entity of sorts. You can still keep playing Final Fantasy. Oh, I know. I was just saying if you guys preferred having this type of conversation while I'm playing some other game. I feel like with all three of them, I can play it and still read and talk with you and chat. My question for you, chat, is what type of new beam do you think they might add, and what type of like unique ability we'll be able to use with it? Because they already showed those homing missiles that we can control. So I'm trying to see what you guys might want to see in terms of like abilities and stuff. Who in the replica? Ah. Okay, but how do you want these power-ups to work, chat? You cannot just say Time Beam and Speed Booster. If you were a developer or a player, how would you like those to work? Maybe we can make platforms with the psychic abilities? Yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe having to use a puzzle where you create, like, put them in place so you can move around them, or rewind time. Well, they already showcase that you'll be able to rewind certain aspects with your psychic abilities to make open passageways. Sounds a lot like the ancients of this world. Oh god, he sounds like an Asian. You have to repair your submarines in this game? In 14? This guy talks a lot of shit for being within mlem distance of my lizard. Submarine components were down. Goes to show you that even though we have a submarine and airship, I've never interacted with it. That was mostly Gabe. Oh, okay. I'm seeing the meme. So do you want me to just replace Lizard for every time Blizzard is mentioned? Maybe show a picture of Lizard? I could do it. Oh my gosh, he teleported behind me? Bakul Jaja, no! Not my guy, he went through his own redemption arc. Nothing personnel kit. I will love to have time visors to see in real time how the past was and also a real wave beam in Metroid Prime. Are you trying to tell me that the wave beam in Metroid Prime 1 wasn't a real wave beam? It's purple and everything. I know what you mean about it going through walls and stuff like that. I just think that making a mechanic that goes through walls, like, it's like the Nova Beam in Prime 3. And I feel like the issue with the Nova Beam is that you, in a 3D first-person stake, you need 2 power-ups to make one mechanic work. You need the visor in order to see through walls so you know what you're shooting. I guess that's the whole reason they really haven't done it, but I guess they might already have experience doing it with, like, you know, Metroid Prime 3 and stuff. There we go. Lizard's special ability is Blizzard abilities. Cryokinesis using her cold blood. Well, you say that in joking, but Lizard can cast ice spells as a black mage. Back to Doctor Who. Could the Doctor survive and not through each event in the Metroid universe? Hard to... Jack Cat. Hello, hello, me, Jack Cat. I would like to play card game. Yes, hello, me, Jack of all cats. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's play card game. Oh.
Sorry, Forza. I can't really help it when there's a new NPC I can play for cats.
Hello, my name is Jack of all cats. Yes, I would like your cats, please. Oh, you bitch.
Lem, 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 lem. I mean, I think the doctor could. Oh, it's a plus. I should have seen that. I think the doctor could most definitely like survive it. Like, I've seen it. I've seen him, like, get out of so many other tricky situations, and the writer's always coming up in some of those cases with like some whatever solution out of their butt. So like, I guess if it were like, all right, he has no TARDIS, and no, he's most certainly probably fucked. Root justice, but a minor setback. Boom, 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 boom. Yay! My time beam mechanic idea? She could freeze or stasis hold things in place, enemies or objects. Like how Breath of the Wild has stasis, or a beefed up version of the Ice Dark Beam. Yeah, that could also work. I think that the only thing I can think of is that like in the case of Zelda, the fun aspect about it is just the seeing the mechanic in play with like the physics engine and stuff. That like maybe it's just seeing how you can incorporate it in Metroid Prime, so it's not like I do the thing and now the enemy dead. Ah, fuck. You win this round. And have more interactions with the visors. Like if you are in a cold area, your visor will freeze, but if you have a fire weapon, it'll defrost. That's cool. That'll be but I see that more of like less a mechanic and more like a feature, if you may. Like you can use those, but I like I don't see how that would interact with like the beam or the surroundings. Yet, at least. I win.
I got a card, yes! Much success, very nice, yes, I got card. Jack of card. Jack of card.
Wait, hold on. Oh, she's got 2 cards. Oh, it's lore stuff. You'll see Samus will close her eyes in bright light explosions. Like stuff they removed from Prime 1. That might be also other cool details. I think most of the ideas I'm trying to think of is how can we, like, change up the formula with, spruce up the formula with, like, the visors. Because I usually feel like, I guess there's only so much things that you can do with a power-up that just changes your POV. You know, so... Like, I've been trying to think... Oh, what new twist you could add with a visor that doesn't feel like, now you can see these other things, but... Well, Vic's mixed on whether the Doctor could survive against the X-Parasites, but as you said, if you're not a robot with or with no organic parts, a Metroid, or you don't have Metroid DNA, then you're screwed. Yeah, I mean, the whole point is that nothing organic can survive an X assimilation. Kind of like, you know, the Cybermen.
Jack of cards.
I can't believe I'm actually streaming Final Fantasy. I've offered chat games, and it's just been leisure. I'm not complaining. Oh my god, gravity beam psychokinesis. I think, like, with the fact that now Samus has, like, psychokinetic abilities, do you think they'll still bring back, like, the... Oh, I had an opportunity for a plus there. Dumb. I think I lost this one. Yeah. Oh, it's a draw. I didn't lose. Like... Now that Samus has, like, telekinetic abilities, does she still need, like, the grapple beam? Chaco Bully Lizard mode? What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Brute justice. Shit. I literally did not know what card they had. For last cause, I have to go. Will have to be a beacon beam. Like, you find something that you can't have now. Leave a beam that you shoot next to the object with your handgun. Yeah, that sounds cool, but I think you could also just make it like a... I feel like an easier way that you can implement this is like, alright, if you see the item, you can either leave a pin of it on the map, or like just have it automatically update the map so that people can see it. Type of stuff. That, like, I would need to know what else you can do with a beam in a combat or puzzle scenario, because if not, it just seems like, alright, it's just a pen system that maybe you could just have implemented from the start of the game, you know? Like, not necessarily a power-up you have, but just, like, an innate ability that Samus might have at the beginning of the game in general. She can do this now. You fool.
I am the Jack of cards. Yes. No card.
A golf lizard tomboyant? No. Fuck you, Pawn. It's not my lizard. The grapple beam function becomes a psychokinetic thing, like how you have kinesis in Dead Space or gravity gun in Half-Life. Yeah, with that, what I was trying to say is that you don't really need the grapple beam, right? You can just make it Samus using kinesis or whatever. Perhaps a time visor could be used to see things from the past, figure out puzzles, solve mysteries like Detective Mode in Batman Arkham games. That actually could also work. Actually, I suppose a robot with organic parts could still survive if the X-Parasites aren't aware of said parts. Well, here's my counter-argument with that, Cross, is that I don't think the X-Parasites have infected, say, Box in Metroid Fusion, because they detected, like, the organic parts, and then they were like, delicious. I think they just literally went... and they try and go through everywhere they can, and they when they find something organic, they just latch onto it, you know, similar to, like, I guess how animals just like scurry around and they're searching for things and looking under rocks and stuff like that. The same thing could be with the X in that case. Because we don't know how much sentience like the X have to be able to like form those thoughts. You fool. You've activated my plus card. Shit. I still win. Should have never brought Clive, Mr. Meow, Arbord into the lizard feud. Well, you should have never started the lizard feud. You started this. I just kept saying my lizard's fun. You started the whole bullying. And it's not my fault that the cards just work well with the lizard synergy. Samus can make things go slow, but she still moves at normal speed. Reverse speed booster. That could also work. It might be fun for like challenges and stuff. But a lot of these time abilities, and the whole reason I was kind of like on the fence about it is like it sounds just like the same mechanics we saw on Zelda games.
You think you can defeat me? I'm Jack of Cat. Oh, fuck me. Give me the cat.
If you were in the past, you could use Time Visor to see what could happen in the present. Times Kings in the future. The thing I think about this Visor is like they already kind of did that with Echoes, where like they just show you in a cutscene what happens in the other timeline, but or in the other dimension, I should say. But all of this still works.
Check out this trick. Brute justice.
Muchas gracias, señor Orpheon. Gracias por hacer la espera de Metroid Prime 4 fácil. De nada. Espero que... me alegro que estén aquí, que les gusta hablar y todo eso, porque sí me gusta poder hacer el stream y hablar con ustedes. And also C-Pass. She's a tomboy goth girl who has 2 hands. You can't deny the truth. Yeah, I can deny it because that's not true. What you're saying is true is not true. You think it's true. Bet I can have the cards before? Well, you're on, Amrak. These lizard bits have gone too far.
Jack Cat. Shit.
This is what you get for dragging Himbo's pawn. You shot first. This is what you get for bullying Lizard. You gotta get through the Himbos and destroy them in order to bully the Lizard in the game. So could the Cybermens or Daleks actually have a chance of survival against the X-Parasites? I guess so. As long as it isn't like, you know... because I know there are some like Daleks at least that have cyber organic parts and stuff like that, so this is a total loss. So I guess it really just matters. I'll learn the funny quest then. Yeah, I mean, I still win. You still have to go through the Himbos, and I'm dying to Chocobos. I see this as an absolute win. Not only have you not, like, fully dealt with the lizard, but now you're supplying me with Quay. You give me the cart now? No. Perfect dodging and combat slows down the world. I guess that the problem with like the combat, I saw some of you guys also mentioning like a counter system and all this other stuff. Like It's just, I guess, depends on how they lean on the combat in general in the game, you know? Wiener is you. Alright, I won 10 times, I still don't have the other card. Like, the reason it works on Doom and all those other games is because, like, they made the combat more action-paced and fast to accommodate for those mechanics, that I think it would really depend on the angle that they're going for Metroid Prime 4's combat. No! Fuck, I pressed A. Oh well. Yeah, just let me lose, I fucked up. Can the X-Parasites infect the tardies? I don't know, chat. You tell me. Can it? You know, the name TARDIS does feel like it could be used for a Metroid boss. Yeah. It's a matter of time before my mind gets corrupted by face on the longer pawn is here. Oh shit. Well, I already lost this one. Unless... No, I already lost this one. I will try again. My log has been terrible, but when isn't it? I hate going first in these stupid games. Can I have the card, please? Alright. Oh, a different move for once. What if they were, Chad? If they were gonna bring back, okay, you're in charge of Metroid Prime 4. Nintendo comes over and tells you, okay, we need to bring back one, like, mayor villain for, like, a retro boss. They don't have to do anything in the story. They're just here for fan service. Who do you bring in and why? My vote is definitely Crocomire, because I think he's just a silly little guy. Oh, fuck. Oh well. We'll try again. Was the most annoying or silliest boss in the series? You know, that's an interesting thought. Oh, you already got the main rank? Sweet. I have a prize for you. Let me finish this and I'll give you your prize. I think that, like, at least in terms of silliest, like, there is Crocomire, Fantoon. Sorry, I'm trying to communicate with Americ real quick. See, I can tease him like that, but he cannot tease me with the cards that I cannot see. So with that Space Pirates guy from Prime Hunters doesn't count. I mean, I guess like Weevil does count. We never really like I said a boss. It doesn't need to be a main villain or anything. Just like a boss. You know. Americ, pick up your phone. They're calling you. The Ophelia is asking you to return to the Waking Sands. May I have the card, please? No. Pray destroy the Waking Sands. Evil Ophelia. Perhaps Samus's old buddies from Prime 3 could come back. That'd be fun. I would definitely like one Crocomire back or Drygon. We haven't seen Drygon make a return on a Metroid game, so I think that might be fun for like just making a water boss of sorts. Definitely would prefer someone new, but like, why not? He's got like enough of that legacy status that you could kind of make it different, stuff like that. No, it's just chat. I think what Brian is saying is just I mentioned any character. You can bring anyone back. It doesn't matter about the timeline. It doesn't matter if they're dead or not. You could just bring them back. Who you're bringing back and why. The why matters. Or at least what's a new mechanic that you add to it. Well, welcome to the stream in which I cannot get the card. Mine. 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 Oh, come on, game. I should probably just be doing moon exploration instead of this, but... Jack of Cats. Bring Coco back? Yeah, bring my boy Coco back, please. That'd be actually kind of sweet. Especially if, like, you can just, like, recycle the same mechanic that you have for, like, Super Metroid. But in a Prime perspective. So does the TARDIS have anything remotely organic inside it or not? I don't know, chat. You tell me. I don't... Ask Rocco. He's a Doctor Who fan. I'm more of a casual Doctor Who because I enjoy like the sci-fi stories and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be able to tell you because I'm not or occult. Yeah, I could do occult. Let me do one more, Emmerich. I'll take a quick getting water break and then we can do some occult crescent. That's a smart idea. Fuck, I wish I had thought about that sooner.
Jack of cat.
I just did not expect that I would have to win 30 matches to get the card, you know? You fool. Yeah, the card brain rot is real. I just like playing card games and collecting cards is the problem. Yeah, it's I know that the worst part is that it's a 3-star card, but you have to understand it's me and I have shit luck, so you'll get the demi materia or whatever it is that we need way before I do. Or must I remind you what happened to my Halone minion? Gosh, just give me the card already, man. The song looped and everything. I cannot believe I made the game play the last part of that loop. It's like I already have the winning strategy. Alright, fuck this shit. How do I get to the occult, Amaric? Can you leave it in chat while I go get my water real quick? In triad at the moment. Oh. Thank you for the direction. How does this card game work? All right, I'll do one more to show you. So it's kind of like war. The cards have different. This is the game is called Triple Triad. It's a game a side game that was first introduced in Final Fantasy VIII. The main purpose is to make the cards on the field over here. Like, this is the field. You want these to have as many cards of your color as possible. And the way you flip the enemy's cards is by placing, like I got right now, a card with a higher number to flip it. But this game has the rule plus, meaning that if this card that he plays has a 4 and a 4, that's 13 and 13, it flips the card. But for the general gist, you're just trying to put a larger number to force the card to become yours, to capture the card. And then at the end, whoever has the most cards left on the board with their color wins. I'm done talking about the X-Parasites, so now I'm switching to Phazon. Watch out, you might awake upon. Oh, you bitch. You put him there this time. You fool. What a surprise, no card. Alright, I'm heading to the Occult Crescent. Might as well grind a little bit of that for like an hour or so before I call it a stream. There's an Erenville minion? I came running after hearing Phazon. I think the Doctor has a giant higher chance of surviving against Phazon, actually. I don't. I think he has a lower chance, actually. Because Phazon does consume everything. Be it organic or inorganic. Expedition Coordinator. Emmerich, do I have to go to the Occult Crescent South Horn? This map is kind of like Gangos, right? How do you survive against Phazon? You don't. That's the whole point of the Metroid Prime trilogy. The Phazon was even able to affect ghosts and spirits. What makes you think a Time Lord can survive it? He probably have a harder time than Sheemus. It's like Angos. Oh, okay. So I'll just go in there. Phazon corruption 1200% program. Corrupted. Lizard. She's so spunky. Like, Phazon in Metroid Prime 1, like, corrupted the coasts of the Chozos. In Metroid Prime 3, it corrupted, like, the Aurora unit and other machinery. Yeah, I said lizard. The TARDIS, corrupted. It's got a computer, corrupted. Nothing survives the Phazon corruption. I'd say it's easier to survive the X-Parasites than it is to survive Phazon. Because the way, at least, like, in the cosmic horror aspect of it, if, like, it has a function or logic, like, even if it's like a computer logic, right? It can be corrupted. Or at least that was the interpretation that I've gotten. Lizard. What could the Doctor actually... So what could the Doctor do to actually survive against it? I really don't think he can do much, if I'm being fully honest, my friend. Oh my gosh, who are all these people? I'm assuming farming something. Nothing in, like, in the Doctor Who universe, like, the only way that, as they showed, is that the Doctor has a way to, like, embrace the Phazon corruption and weaponize fight fire with fire. Okay, I think I should probably just explore the map while you get here, so that, like, I can at least teleport from one place to another. But, like, you know, it's not like there's an entire trilogy just to show you how dangerous and doomed the situation is if Phazon is left unchecked. Oh, a treasure coffer. Mud pie. Oh, it's the minion. The fuck? You can just find treasure chests with shit lying on the floor? Sweet. Also, you're gonna have to give me a rundown of the whole occult phantom jobs and shit, because my square brain, did not read or understand. You know? I'm very stupid. Like... the thing with Phazon. Oh, little bro seemed to be playing with some laser. Yeah, I mean, it is laser. It's very cute and spunkish. TLDR of the occult currents that unlock every aetherite, spam all the critical engagements, pops GG easy, you win this game. Okay, cool. What about the phantom jobs? Is there like a... is it like the... what you call it? Variant dungeons in which you just use it to compensate for abilities that the job you're using don't have? Level up through critical engagement, random mobs, but better levels. Lower it from critical engagements. Okay. They have extra skills depending on which job you have. This map is big. Like, holy crap, it's big. I never realized how dangerous the Metroid universe really is. I mean, I know that the X-Parasites are a serious threat, but I didn't know that Phazon could even be more dangerous. I recommend you playing the original Metroid Prime remaster and, like, reading the scan logs. The Chozos called it the Great Poison for a reason. Like... its applications and abilities are unfathomable. It can affect and... knowledge level sync has been disabled. Monk, for example, needs to keep using their dash to earn stackable damage buff. Like they're like Phantom Monk or regular Monk. Oh look, a little passageway. Little cave. Phantom Monkey. Okay. Wow. This place really is... oh. I should have guessed. Oh, I see you there. Oh, it's like Eureka. I have to level up. I thought this was more like Bossya, that I could just be my own level job, you know? Thank you. So I should probably not be here. Because I'm level 2. I'm seeing it now. I was just trying to get to this Aetherite, but I don't know if that's a good idea or not. I already got the other 2. Alright, so we need to go back. Is the return the same one? Oh wait, I can grab this quest over here. I was asking about the return because you know that in the cosmic exploration they give you the other return. But yeah, the Metroid universe is filled with all sorts of tricky things. Like, I think the main like threat from the Metroid universe. I can't teleport over there, Amaric. I was trying to make my way over there and then I died. Unless, I guess, there's an alternate way for us to reach there. What did you do? Gotta go there. Yeah, sadly I don't have a means to get there, Emmerich. I was trying to do that, but we returned. Unless I can go through over here or over there. Alright, now that Amaric is my taxi, I can just stay here. What game is that? Is it the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, which has a free trial up to level 70 that includes both the award-winning Heaven Sword and Stormblood expansions for absolutely free with no restrictions in playtime and will never ask you for your freaking credit card. Joining yours yet today. I'm noting down those time beam mechanics ideas of mine in case I want to implement them as a mechanic in one of my projects, because they do sound interesting. By all means. Gonna unlock these crystals. They're important to get around the map to hit fates and critical engagements. Like, I think the one thing the Doctor could probably survive against is the Metroids. Because, like, we have a... You know, the weakness is cold. Freeze them and then you could, like, harm them. The catch being is you have to do it before the Metroid has a chance to latch onto you, or that it evolves and becomes resistant to that weakness. But it's clear now that the Doctor might not actually be able to survive the Metroid universe, so I'm gonna try and think another character from a different franchise who could have a better chance of survival. This probably will be difficult. Yeah, it's kind of difficult in... And I don't mean to say, like, there's no Metroid that there's no character that can survive the Metroid universe, aside from Samus Aran, but you know, you see what I mean. Fates are out of reach because you really need the writing map to reach them before everyone shred the mob. You earn it by doing critical engagements and get the silver currency. Great, that's kind of sad. I need a thing to do the other thing. Boulevard dress shoes. like, trying to think. My suggestion would have been someone like Elma from Xenoblade X, and that's only mostly because she shares a lot in common to the type of things that Samus fights. But even then, I think that she probably wouldn't stand much of a chance against the Phazon at least. She can survive the X parasites though. Well, so then you say we're going to switch to Pokemon Fusion or X Fusion, or we're going to keep playing 14? Well, I asked that 2 hours ago, and I didn't really see much of an interest or an answer on either, so I just kept yapping with you guys about Prime 4, so I guess that for today I'll just do Prime 4, but if you guys want to see one or the other, we can do that for tomorrow's stream. How long will I be on? For now, I think another 30 minutes or so. I mean, I was asking chat like 2 hours or so. Bro, I just watching the Alien Earth series and it's blown my mind how identical it's similar scenarios between Metroid Other M and Fusion with the Alien Earth story. I haven't seen Alien Earth. I haven't seen Alien Romulus. I think the last Alien movie I watched was it called Covenant? There's so many nowadays. $1,000,000 question. Is Metroid Prime 4 going to take place before or after Dread? It could be either or. I'm probably seeing it as for now at least a before, because we don't know when in the timeline does Prime Fusion take place, like Cosmic Calendar at least, compared to like the other games, or at least any that I could have found. So I think it might really depend on that and other clues. Now that, but then again, you're asking the guy who's been advocating for a whole new Metro timeline. Like, all right, we have this one, now this is other things, so like more creators can come and do their things and their own interpretations with Samus. I see it. Lem. What did you remember, Pon? I'm still waiting. Apparently, the Prime games are considered pseudo-canon due to them not connecting to the mainline game, so it's a mystery. Well, I mean, it depends on what. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like pseudo-canon. You're correct on that, but it's also like they do connect in the sense that the Prime games do acknowledge things that have yet to happen in the original games, and mentions of SR3D8 and Seves and the fall of Seves and stuff like that. It's more that since these games came out after the fact, you know, the original games don't really use them for their story, but they're all still in one timeline of sorts. So is this just kill the guy? Oh my gosh, I'm in the air. Can't wait to die. Is Alien Earth good? I heard it's just meh, or just a popcorn show from friends and other people. I can't really tell you. I haven't really seen it. I'm just like fatigued from franchises. I love the I love Alien and all this other stuff, but I'm like also just kind of getting tired of what are next? More franchise IP that I know. Here's another show. Here's another show. Here's another show, you know? So it's not like really on my priority list of things to watch. So I couldn't give you my own like thoughts. They're called spin-offs by series producer Yoshio Sakamoto, so don't appear in the official timeline. Well, see, the thing is that series producer Gunpei Yokoi from the one who made the Metroid Prime games. I'm just telling you, like, they were done like this. It's more like Sakamoto's writing doesn't like to take into consideration the Prime games, quite like the Prime games like to take into consideration the 2D games. But in this case, they're both right. One could be seen as a spin-off of the other. Donut? That looks like a donut. Oh no, crosses. So like, mainline games have yet acknowledged the Prime games, so that's just very much of their stance of the canonicity. I beg to disagree, for the reasons I mentioned. Like, we cannot just assume one exists because the other one doesn't refuse to take its... I think the reason the regular games do not aren't considering the other ones is just because like they are just focusing on a different type of narrative and storytelling, but they're still canon. They're still in the official Metroid timelines. They're still mentioned, at least in some passing in Dread. Oh wait, no, never mind. That's a different game. I'm thinking of Other M. But like, they're still canon. They're as canon as the rest. Until, like, we get a proper retcon of them. Or some shit like that. Dang Samosa's still there. Samus did fight Dang Samosa. Oh, that probably killed me. Lizard didn't die! Thank you, Aimeric. Ah, shit! Fuck. I'm definitely not galaxy-brained enough for this. I'm dead. Let alone when I'm arguing with chat over the canonicity of the Metroid Prime games or not. I feel like I've been in this, down this for 20 years, where like, yeah, I mean, until there's an official retcon in a game, it's still canon. But it's more so the fact that, like, because Fusion and Prime were being developed at the same time, they didn't really spoke with each other. But both Tanabe and Sakamoto are equal producers of the series. You know? They're both as right as the... One is right as the other. Fuck it, I'm ignoring this mechanic. At least that one mechanic. The reason that there's no flashback to the scenes is because the stories of what I'm trying to say, the stories of the mainline games don't necessarily require the Prime things to take into effect because they're never really the focus. But that does not mean that they're not canon or they're side stories. It's just that the events of that, it's like one chapter and then the other chapter, you know? Is what I'm trying to say. They're still canon. It's just that the mainline games don't require the context of what happened in the Prime series for players to understand the stakes in the story of that game. So why waste the time bringing it up? It's, you know, if there was something in the Prime games that's gonna have like an actual effect on the story or adventure, then yeah, they will probably mention it. But given the fact that so far none of the stories are like really asking you to know the context of the other game, so why bring it up? It will just bloat the story of the game. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not canon. Or it's simply labeled as a spin-off. Other M is a spin-off. Hunters is more of a spin-off. Or I guess not anymore, giving Silex in Prime 4. But oh shit. Me manifesting a Metroid Other M remake part remaster with a correct script. I mean, I'd be down for that, I'm not even gonna lie. I beg to disagree. Just because the games aren't mentioned does not necessarily mean you have to write them off the timeline. Or that they, or stuff like that. Or that they're not canon. A retcon more would be the better way of labeling that, because in that you're actively going out of your way to establish something as no longer canon. But a lack of a mention because the events of that one story don't necessarily have a direct impact on the events of these stories does not necessarily mean retcon or uncanon. Like, you don't need to address everything so that it stays canon. You know? Just because, I don't know, like Metal Gear Solid 5 came out and doesn't acknowledge the MSX games does not mean that it's not canon. It's also that Sakamoto just likes to write his own thing, but Gunpei Yokoi is as much of a producer of the series as he is. It's just that Sakamoto's been with it for the longest and working the original games. But he's also working in, like, he's also credited in the Metroid Prime games. And consulted and stuff like that. It's more that I see that he wants his writing to just be his own ideas. Not necessarily that it's not canon or whatever, because if not, I think he would have already maybe mentioned it. I'm not putting words in your mouth. You said since there's no acknowledgement of the Prime games or the mainline games, one can easily say there aren't canon to the timeline. And I was merely trying to explain why that also wouldn't necessarily be the case, you know? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just reading here and saying that, yeah, just because one doesn't acknowledge the continuity of the other does not mean it's not canon either. It's just that the events or the context of those events are necessary for the new game. Thus, let's not waste our time bringing those up. Because if in Other M they mention like, oh yeah, this reminds me of the Phazon, but it's just Samus saying it reminds me of the Phazon. You're just wasting time. So why not just like remove it for the script if you're not doing anything else with it? There's also discrepancy surrounding Samus's gunship, which looks completely different across the Prime games, only for Samus to revert back to the classic gunship in Super Metroid 3. Well, here's the thing. In the original Metroid for Zero Mission, the gunship is shut down and it looks different. And then the game ends. Then comes Metroid Prime and she has a different gunship. Then she goes on Echoes and all this other stuff. I think that the gunship is just like, you know, Samus changing gunships is kind of like as the same as her changing details of her armor or the overall look of the Varia suit and stuff like that. It's just like some background detail. And whatever. That, like, the developers weren't really saying it like, oh yeah, this will be to disprove the theory. It's more like, oh, okay, we kind of just wanted to model a new ship for Samus in Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3 and just bring it over. But, like, you know, that I wouldn't really say that those discrepancies necessarily decanonize a game or whatever, or that they don't take place, is what I'm trying to say. So, like, it's just, like, you know, all over the place, but until there's an official retcon, the official Nintendo, like, published materials still consider them all in one main timeline. So unless Prime 4 comes out and it changes something along those lines, then, like, I think that we're just observing something that Sakamoto doesn't like to just involve other types of writing. Which is also, like, totally fair, you know? He's his games, he wants to do his own things for those games, and what have you, but that, for me, doesn't necessarily mean one is not canon anymore, or ever, or whatever. It's more so the fact that the context of those stories don't really matter, you know? Alien doesn't bring up Prometheus, but Prometheus is still canon to Alien. Despite all the inconsistencies and discrepancies that are in the stories, they're still canon. Which is why normally people point to retcons or if, like, there's an interview where Tanabe would come out or Sakamoto would come out and say, then yeah, okay, that's a whole different thing. But until then, stuff like the gunship is just like, you know, video game development stuff. For the sake of continuity and lore, they should have remodeled the gunships into the classic Super Metroid 3 design for the Switch remasters. I disagree, because it's a remaster of the original game. Like, I don't really think it's that the gunship looking different is that big of a discrepancy. For all intents and purposes, Samus can have more than one car, you know? I at least am in the train of thought that Samus is probably ultra mega rich from doing all these universe-saving jobs that... Why wouldn't she have multiple gunships? They keep getting shot down. But I digress. Did Prometheus still remain consistent? Not so much. Because, like, there's a lot of wackiness in the movie in general that don't fully go along the lines with, like, the original movies, and then they went into the Alien Covenant and they're starting adding all these other things that weren't necessarily in the original movies. And then you watch the original movies and they never really mentioned those stuff, so, like, you know, I was just using it as the example that's in the top of my head. There's still canon. Because if we're gonna go with the discrepancies, we could mention Samus's, you know, power suit slightly changing per games, or the Varia suit and stuff like that. You know, her Varia suit in Prime 1 looks different from Prime 3, which looks different from Super, which looks different from Samus Returns, which looks different from this other game, but we're focusing is on the gunship. Another pain one? Ah, great. I recall Metroid Fusion's having Samus say that she get her ship from the Galactic Federation. No, the ship from Fusion is from the Galactic Federation, because in Fusion, her ship is destroyed when she crashes on the asteroid belt. She wakes up in a Federation vessel, and then the Federation asks her to go to the BSL station. So it's not like she's got time to go back to wherever house space garage she has to swap gunships, you know? but there's nothing stopping us for assuming that Samus has like a station or a hub or some other place that she calls home, and that she just goes and chills at between missions and stuff like that. You know? No, I'm not saying that it contradicted the first movie, because Prometheus does show that the fucking, what they're called, Pale Man Affes are the engineers of all these other things. But I do remember when I watched the film, it's been forever, that there was some inconsistencies with like what they say in the other subsequent movies. But I digress. Like I said, it's an example of something that goes on. Because in the same way, you could say that, like, all right, then Prometheus is not canon, because in Alien 1, through Resurrection, they didn't mention the Alien movie, the Prometheus movies, and then they come out with a new Alien movie that also doesn't mention things from Prometheus, but it's still canon because, you know, they haven't gone out of the way to retcon it. That's what retcons are for. Removing stuff from the canon, or establishing them as a parallel universe or whatever other thing. But like, until, again, Nintendo or Sakamoto says that, they're still whole canon. It's more so that they don't go over every minute detail for the sake of brevity and to keep the story focused in what's at hand. Check the debuffs. But you're asking too much. Do I go to the same or the opposite? Opposite, given that you're fire also and going to ice. I don't know what I did. In the end of the day, we're talking about like Nintendo games where I don't think they focus too much on the the lore. They just make mechanics and they go about their way, and we have to remember the context that when these two sort of universes, timelines, or whatever you want to call it, game series started was because, you know, Nintendo was panicking that Metroid Prime was going to be a shit game. These retro studios are making too much of a nightmare in the development, and we don't want to lose Metroid, so we're going to tell Sakamoto real quick to greenlight his game so that if Metroid Prime flops as they believe, like, there's still some Metroid-related product that they can sort of fall back on, you know? And because those two games were built simultaneously and all the nightmares that came with those developments, which there's several videos you can look online, it's kind of like why we have the Prime series and the Classic series. She's just like Boba Fett, her and her gunship? Yeah, pretty much. She's, but at the same time, she could have more than one. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. If they're canon, they're canon. If they're not canon, they're not canon. But until we get a game or a game actively going out of its way to establish something as non-canon, in my mind, I will just keep to the timeline that Nintendo has continued to recycle for a good amount of years at this time. Also, if the healers let me die, I wouldn't be angry. No, shit. You know? I don't think it really matters in the end that much. Most Metroid stories are sort of self-contained in a sense. You can play Metroid Fusion without the context of the previous games and still enjoy all the story as much as the other games, and they only give you the recap on the few things that are like relevant to what's going on in this game, but oh, fuck.
No, I'm gonna die. Goodbye.
Oh, I lived. Sweet. Yeah, you weren't kidding, Amory. This guy is a thing. Where would she have them park if she keeps flying all over the place? Boba doesn't have a space garage. I mean, how do we know that Samus doesn't have a space garage? Is what I'm saying. I like to imagine that she just doesn't live in her gunship. I like to imagine that Samus has a place that she calls home just because this one Star Wars character who's also a bounty hunter doesn't have it. Why wouldn't Samus, you know? You know, the Star Fox crew has the Great Fox, and even then they imply that they have a place they call home when they're not doing mercenary work. What's to say that Samus is any different? The same thing is hinted with Captain Falcon. When he's not racing, he's got a little place that he calls home. Given that it's Nintendo, it might be more in line with it being kind of like that, rather than what Star Wars does. You know? I feel like at this point I'm just rambling as I'm trying to survive this fight. They gave Samus a space garage for a planet she lives on. Yeah, I mean... I do understand, like, alright, we don't see it, but I also like to imagine that just because we don't see it, that it doesn't necessarily exist. As I recall, Samus's gunship also serves as a living quarters for her. It's why the game never showed her sleeping in a Galactic Federation space colony. Well, yeah, but like the way I interpret that living quarters functionality is because traveling through space takes a lot of time. Like as far as we know, there's nothing similar to like Star Wars' light speed travel in the Metroid universe. So people like Samus require a place that their cars. I equate that her gunship is like an RV. You can still have it like an RV or a car that you can live out of, but that doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have a home. Like a permanent residence, you know? It's just a functionality that Samus and other people can take use as they're traveling through space so they can survive. Similar like the Mandalorian. But, like, you know, how do we know that she doesn't have a home in some other planet? The living functionality is just to explain how Samus can be like traveling in space all these amount of extended periods of times until she conveniently finds whatever doohickey is required for the story to take place. But not necessarily does that rule out the idea of her having a home. Like, you can be living out of like a car while you're going out on a road trip, and then you just still come back to a place you call home, right? Given that Samus's story, in a sense, is about home and family, I wouldn't be surprised if she's got a place of her own. Oh, so I'm calling it a stream here. I'm gonna go get lunch. Thanks for the help. Definitely would want to do a little bit more grind for the relic and stuff. I haven't gotten a single thing, by the way. Or at least I don't think I have. Because, yeah, but like, I know that they do that in the manga, but we don't really see it in the game. I'm not saying that the manga isn't canon. It's more so that, like, I like to focus first on what the games show and tell, aside from the expanded material, because, like, the manga never made it to the West. So, in Metroid Other M's job, I had assumed was to, like, circumvent that issue and take its time to address Samus's backstory proper and all this other stuff. But given how there's no mention of the Federation in the Chozo Treaty, like, that's still on hold. But no matter what, you know, people still find places to live in. just because there's a way for her to live off the gunship, then it's just because there's a way that you can live off your RV does not mean that you cannot have an RV and a house. And even on that one same manga, if I do recall, she's like sleeping in some space station. It's not her gunship at the opening. To be fair, it's been a while since I read the manga, but I can kind of remember that in the opening of the game, like, she's not in her ship because she has to board her ship before she heads out, and that's what prompts her to reminisce about the past, and that's how the story starts. But even in the, like, endings of Metroid Zero Mission, you see Samus just chilling in the cities and hanging out in bars and stuff like that. I like to imagine that Samus just isn't like a Star Wars character who can be cooped up in her gunship the entire time and not just want to go find something else, you know? But I digress. Alright. But like I said, I'm gonna call it a stream here. I'm gonna go make lunch. I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in and showing up and I guess putting up with the Lizard stream. I know that it's not the main thing that most of you guys want to see that. So like I'll still be here tomorrow. There's still gonna be the stream. Maybe we can play either Pokemon Infinite Fusion or X Fusion or something along those lines. And whatever, but I really appreciate all of you guys showing up and just chatting is always fun. I would love to see Samus hanging around inside a private mansion on Earth in order to change my understanding of the lore. I mean, there's some things that we don't need to see or be implied for us to imagine that it might be a thing, you know? Because it's never really a part of the story, so why address it? Like, the number one rule of storytelling is that you keep things that are relevant to the active story that's happening. So, unless Samus had, like, one thing in her mansion as a prized possession, then she now needs to go back or whatever, then there's, like, no reason to know it. But, like, the pictures of her walking around, I've always assumed is her vacational times. Well, I've always assumed that it's her going out for a stroll out of her house, you know? Having a social life. I had a lizard recollection bit, but since you're leaving, I'll bring it up later. All right. But, you know, either way, I really appreciate everything that you guys show up and yap and all these other things. I'll be here tomorrow, so I guess Mewtwo, if you're here tomorrow, we can maybe do some Pokemon X Fusion and whatever. But for now, I will call it here a stream, and I'm going to go get some lunch. But with all that said, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.